After earning all the DLC achievements and trophies for Fallout 3 and New Vegas, it's time to continue on to the next title in the series, Fallout 4. And I've actually already earned the 100% for Fallout 4 on this channel, as I attempted to speedrun the next gen Fallout 4 100%, which took 38 hours. But I did place top 3 on PSN Profile's leaderboard at the time, and now like top 6, so I guess it was worth it, but that was next gen. So today I'm gonna go back and finish the 100% on the PS4 version, which I platinumed back in 2023. And since I've already played on this version, I actually earned a few of the Far Harbor DLC trophies back in 2016 when it released, but we'll get to that later. Nonetheless, Fallout 4 has 6 DLC trophy packs with a total of 34 trophies. I decided to start with DLC Trophy Pack 4, which was probably the easiest of the 6 DLCs, the Contraptions Workshop. The Contraptions Workshop has 3 trophies. The first, which required me to display a weapon on a weapon rack, armor on an armor rack, and power armor in a power armor display.
Alright. Alright, let me put this here. That should give me a trophy. There we go. Show off. That's for the power armor rack display, obviously, the armor display, and the gun display.
Next, I put Marcy Long, by far the worst settler in Fallout 4, into a pillory, well, kind of, to get my next trophy.
Yeah, come on. There we go. Timeout. I need to see her do it, though. She's not even getting in. Hey, Marcy, get in. Marcy's not even gonna do it. That's how much I hate her. That's why I wanted her to do it.
And lastly, for the Contraptions Workshop DLC, I put 500 steel in a builder to make 100 steel balls, which got me my last trophy in this DLC.
There we go. Mass production. That's for producing 100 items using the builder here. And yeah, that's it for the Contraptions DLC, I believe. By far the easiest DLC. I mean, I got this done in like 30 minutes, so not bad at all. And now on to the next one.
Next, I began the Vault Tech Workshop, which also only had 3 trophies. This DLC began after listening to the Vault 88 radio broadcast, and after traveling across the map to Vault 88, I used my Pip-Boy to open the vault door and proceeded to take out all the ghouls who now occupied the vault. Well, all ghouls except one, Overseer Barstow. Here she told me her plans to make this vault a thriving vault once again. The first step, however, was to explore and unlock all the areas in the vault, and after doing this, I got my next trophy.
Excellent. Living underground. Hell yeah.
Alright, that should be it. Yeah, better living underground. That's for exploring all the different sections.
Now that the broadcast beacon was up and working, it was time to welcome our first vault dwellers into Vault 88, and after asking them a few questions, we welcomed them in, and I equipped them with a Vault 88 suit and Pip-Boy, which got me my next trophy.
Clem, let's get you outfitted like a real vault dweller.
Some people complain.
There you go, Vault
but
Dweller.
Not me. Just
That's
happy
for
to be here.
outfitting Clem.
Next, Barstow began to force me to run experiments using prototypes on our new dwellers that would supposedly provide her with information that she could bring to other vaults across the wasteland. However, these experiments probably weren't ethical and definitely took advantage of our new dweller, but we're in the wasteland after all, so morals are definitely the least of anyone's worries. Nonetheless, after finishing all the experiments, Barstow left with the information we acquired and promoted me to the new Overseer of Vault 88, earning me the last trophy of this DLC.
You're the Overseer now.
That means so much to me. Oversight. There we go. Now that is it for the Vault Tech Workshop DLC. Very quick again, only 3 trophies. It took about an hour. Can't say it was too successful. 2 people left. One didn't even get into the vault. He left before he could even get in. The other one just was mad and left, so I can't say it was too successful, but
The thing's
it was
broke.
something, I guess.
It keeps making
Now
these weird
it's time
clicking
for the next DLC.
Now it was time to begin one of the more tedious DLCs in Fallout 4 called Wasteland Workshop, and like the previous 2 DLCs, this one also only contains 3 trophies. However, one of the 3, called Trapper, which required me to build one of each cage, took forever. This is because each of the 16 cages require a different item in order to be built. These items ranging from 250 caps to soft shell Mirelurk meat, which is relatively rare. So for the next couple of hours, I traveled across the wasteland collecting all the items I needed for each of the cages, and after making the 16th and final cage, I got the trophy.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course the medium ones. That one. That one. That one. That one. That one. That one. Alright, now time for the large ones, and then the trophy should pop here. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. And then the final one, the alkali cage. There we go, Trapper.
Next, I started a spectated arena fight in a settlement. This one was also a bit buggy, as timing was key, and if you started the fight before the rest of the settlers came to watch, the trophy wouldn't pop. So after ensuring that people were indeed watching, I started the fight and got the trophy.
There we go, Instigator. They're watching the fight. That's all I needed to do, and then it popped.
Back on the topic of cages, I built a few mole rat cages and deathclaw cages, as those are naturally hostile animals, and after placing down a beta wave emitter which would tame them once they were released, I got the last trophy of the Wasteland Workshop DLC for having 5 tame creatures in a settlement.
Here we go, docile. I mean, they're killing each other. They're not killing me though. That's good. The Deathclaw is friendly. Shout to the Deathclaw. Alright, now that we got docile, that is it for the Wasteland Workshop DLC. Which is good because that one took way too long to get in, was very annoying. So glad that's over. Now it's time for the next DLC.
Now it was time to begin the Far Harbor DLC, and like I said earlier, I had actually already played through the Far Harbor DLC back in 2016 and earned all of the storyline trophies, so now only 3 of the 10 trophies remained. The first one was pretty easy, as all I had to do was cook one of the new Far Harbor recipes, which didn't require many resources, and after cooking a poached angler, I got the trophy.
Alright, here we go. I think I can do it. This should give me a trophy here. There we go. Just add salt water. That's for making a Far Harbor recipe. One of the few Far Harbor trophies that I had not gotten before. So
Next, I went around Far Harbor and collected all issues of the Islander's Almanac magazine to get my next trophy.
Bingo.
alright, here's the second one.
Yes.
And
Nice.
the third one. Here's the fourth one. Last one is right here. This should give me the trophy. Islander's Almanac. Very easy. Thankfully, there's only 5, so you don't really need to do too much exploration to find them.
And for the next 40 minutes or so, I traveled across Far Harbor, killing any Far Harbor creature I saw, and after killing my 30th, I got the last trophy in the Far Harbor DLC.
Here we go, hooked. That's 30. That was actually pretty quick, actually. I said actually a couple times, but that was quick. I'm glad that was over, and that is the final Far Harbor trophy that I actually needed. And so it actually can stop. Okay, let's move on to the next DLC.
If you want to see a full playthrough of the Far Harbor DLC and watch me earn all of the trophies, definitely check out my Fallout 4 speedrun, link in the description. After Far Harbor, it was time to begin the next story-based DLC called Automatron. This DLC began after listening to a caravan distress call, and after making my way to the location of the signal, I killed a few rogue robots, and then met a robot named Ada, who was a part of the caravan, and after talking to her and agreeing to find who did this, I got the trophy, Mechanical Menace.
Here we go. Mechanical Menace. That's for starting the DLC.
Our first lead in finding out who killed Ada's caravan led us to General Atomics. After killing some robots, I picked up a mechanist drive from the Robo-Brain, and after speaking to Ada and installing a radar beacon on her, it was time to find the second radar beacon. Like the first mission, I picked up the beacon after killing a Robo-Brain, but before finding the mechanist and his lair, we headed to Fort Hagen to find another Robo-Brain named Jezebel, which had yet another radar beacon. Shortly after arriving to Fort Hagen, I killed a few robots and eventually made my way to Jezebel, and after talking to her and eventually stealing her head, I brought it to my robot workshop and built it a new body. After getting Jezebel to tell me everything she knew about the mechanist, the mission was over, and I got the trophy Headhunting for completing the mission.
There we go, headhunting.
After adding a MSAT, which accesses Mechanist doors and tracks Mechanist robots onto Ada, we traveled to the Mechanist lair near the Boston airport to take him down once and for all. After making it through the first few areas of the lair and destroying a bunch of robots, I picked up my 10th robot mod, which earned me a trophy.
There we go, Robot Hunter. I think that's for getting 10 different mods.
Now it was time for the boss fight. While I was a bit more prepared than I was during my speedrun, this fight was still a bit difficult as the robots were pretty tough to kill. But eventually, after defeating the many waves of robots, I confronted the mechanist and took her out once and for all, earning me the trophy Restoring Order.
It's people like you that are
Hey.
ruining this world. People like you that need to be stopped. I didn't want it to
I need
come
to put her
this,
down.
But I can't
I gotta
allow
put
you
her
to
down.
keep terrorizing the Commonwealth.
Okay. Oh my god, head gone. Completely took her head off. There we go. Once and for all. Ada, hello.
There is one remaining matter to consider.
There we
The
go.
mechanist is
Restoring
defeated,
order.
but my radar
Now,
beacon is
only
still
one trophy
picking up
remains
several
in the
signals.
Automatron
I fear the
DLC.
Next, I returned home and turned Ada into a cool-looking Assaultron, and after building 10 robot mods, I got the final trophy of the Automatron DLC.
There we go. The most toys. That's for building
It's always
10 mods.
fascinating
And
watching you create.
yeah, Ada's kind of, I don't know. Never mind. That is it for the Automatron DLC. Now, it's time for the final DLC.
Now all that was left was to complete Nuka World, as the last 10 Fallout 4 DLC trophies all came from this DLC. Like the other story-based DLCs, Nuka World begins after listening to Nuka World Family Radio, which informs listeners of a new amusement park called Nuka World, and after making my way to the Nuka World Transit Center and taking out a few gunners, I hopped aboard the train and made my way to Nuka World. Once I got there, instead of going through the annoying gauntlet, I opened a side door, entirely skipping the gauntlet as a whole. However, I still had to defeat the overboss, so after picking up the thirst zapper and using that to my advantage against the boss, I defeated him, earning me the first trophy of the DLC.
There we go. Taken for a ride. That's for getting past the gauntlet. Gifted.
Let's keep the conversation
And beating
between us, okay?
former overboss. Nice.
After getting a tour of the park and how it functions in terms of its control by the 3 different raider gangs, I decided to get one of the more tedious trophies out of the way first, called Raiding for a Living, which required me to complete 12 side quests for any of the raider gangs. These missions would essentially send me back and forth from the Commonwealth to Nuka World with objectives such as clearing out a bunch of enemies to finding specific people and putting them in a shot collar. And after doing this 12 times, I returned to the boss and got the trophy.
A few caps for the trouble. If you have more free time,
And there we go. Rating for a living. That's for doing the 12 side missions.
After this, I went around the Nuka World map and collected every issue of the Scav magazine, which got me my next trophy.
Nice.
There's the first one. And there we go, Scav. Here's number 3. Here it is.
hell yeah.
Alright, that's 4. One more. And the final one right here. 5, I gotta run. Here we go. Oh god. Libertarian.
While doing this, I also collected every recipe to each of the 20 different flavors of Nuka-Cola that could be crafted. So now that I had all of the recipes, I spent the next hour or so collecting all the resources I needed in order to make the 20 flavors, and after making every flavor, I got one of the rarest trophies in Fallout 4, Beverageer.
Alright, this should be the last one and I should get the trophy. This is one of the rarest ones just because it takes so much to get all the ingredients, but this should be the last one. Here we go, Beverageer. Didn't actually take too long. I think the longest part was collecting everything. But yeah, after that, not too bad.
Before starting the story, I had one more task to complete. If you guys watch my speedrun, I saved the absolute worst trophy for last, Eyes on the Prize, the rarest trophy in Fallout 4. In order to unlock Eyes on the Prize, you need to redeem 100,000 tickets at the Nuka-Cade, and for instance, most arcade games took 1 to 2 minutes to complete. However, you would typically only receive 700 to 1,000 tickets after, which meant that this would be a long grind. However, I learned from my mistakes and found a substantially quicker way to earn 100k tickets in only 30 minutes or so. After doing some research, I learned that you could build hoops in your settlements, and after connecting a bunch of hoops together using the rug trick, you could essentially quadruple your point total in one game of basketball. So after aligning all the hoops and activating them at the same time, I got the trophy with relative ease. God, I wish I did this for my speedrun.
Is this it? Oh, I think I have to redeem them. Alright, here we go. Redeem tickets. Yes. Eyes on the prize. There we go. All 100,000. Terrible.
Now it was time to begin the story, first with clearing out every park. Since I had already made all of the different flavors of Nuka-Cola, I made sure to use those to my advantage, as well clearing out the parks under the effects of Nuka-Cola. I got my next trophy for defeating 40 Nuka World creatures while under the effects of any Nuka Mix flavor.
All sugared up. 40 already? That's actually kind of crazy. Okay. I mean, I won't complain.
And after clearing up all of the parks and assigning them to the different raider gangs, I got the trophy, the Grand Tour.
And if you need my advice and you want me to keep tagging along, you've got it.
The Grand Tour. God, I absolutely hate that quest. That's one of the worst quests in Fallout history, in my opinion. At least the Galactic World. This place sucks. Hate it. Absolutely hate it.
After the Grand Tour, it was time to make the raiders' presence known in the Wasteland. Now I had to pick one of my settlements for the raiders to take over, and after doing this and making other settlements pay me, I established 2 more raider settlements in the Wasteland, which granted me the trophy Home Sweet Home.
There we go. Home Sweet Home. That's for completing that mission, which kind of took a while, but it is what it is.
Now, in order to get the next trophy, I had to do this 5 more times. On my 8th and final raider camp establishment, I got the trophy called Hostile Takeover for establishing 8 raider camps in the Wasteland.
Here we go. And that should be it. Wait for it. Got the perk. Hostile Takeover. Now, only 1 mission remains.
Now it was time to finally complete the Fallout 4 100% and earn the final trophy of the Nuka World DLC. The final mission of the main story of Nuka World began after I was informed that one of the raider bosses, who I treated most poorly, took over the power plant. So me and the other 2 bosses raced in, taking out raiders along the way until we got to the top of the plant, to which we took out the boss and restored power to the amusement park, which granted me the final Fallout 4 trophy.
Wow. Would you look at that view?
There's plenty of caps out there just waiting to be taken. And as long as you keep bringing them in, we'll have your back.
There we go. Wait for it. Power play. The final trophy in all Fallout 4's DLCs.
Fallout 4 is my favorite game of all time, and even though this was probably my 9th or 10th time playing it all the way through, it never gets old. Thankfully, I didn't have to rush through the game as fast as possible like I did with the speedrun, so it was good to actually sit back and relax while playing through the DLCs and earning all the trophies. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for a Fallout 76 DLC trophy video coming in the near future. Until then, see you in the next one. Peace.